Did you know that over the past 50 years, the average of the global temperature has increased at the fastest rate in recorded history? Are you aware that one of the 16 hottest years in NASA's 134-year record has occurred since 2000? Global warming occurs when carbon dioxide, air pollutants, and greenhouse gases collect in the atmosphere and can escape to space. These gases trap the heat and cause the planet to get hotter. This process is known as the greenhouse effect. I learned quite a few important facts such as this when I attended the United Nations Conference on Housing and Sustainable Urban Development in Quito, Ecuador. Over 30,000 people from 167 countries participated in the conference, and they all agreed to find more ecological ways of living, with the goal of preventing the average of global temperature from rising. Since then, I've been watching and reading a lot of documentaries about global warming. Each year, scientists discover more about the consequences of global warming, including the environmental, the social, economic, and health problems that are likely to occur if current trends continue. These are things everyone should know and be aware of the planet where we live. It will always be hard to understand a system as complex as the world's climate. However, there is strong evidence that shows that this problem is occurring. The evidence comes from direct measurements of rising air and ocean temperatures and phenomena such as increases in average global sea levels. Most of the warming in recent decades can likely be attributed to human activities. The moral issue around this subject is that the least developed countries are affected the most by the pollution of first world countries, and the development of eco-friendly ways of production and transportation are being developed at a really slow pace. We, as the inhabitants of this planet, should be aware of the activities that are causing our planet to heat up and the effects that this causes. The Earth's temperature is increasing considerably because of greenhouse gases. A greenhouse gas absorbs and emits radiant energy. They prevent the heat that the sunlight brings from leaving the atmosphere. Gases trapped in the atmosphere are the cause of global warming. Certain gases in the atmosphere block heat from escaping to space and cause the planet to get hotter. These gases are known as greenhouse gases. About half the sunlight reaching its atmosphere passes through the air and clouds to the surface. About 90% of this heat is then absorbed by greenhouse gases and radiated back toward the surface. Multiple studies published in scientific journals show that 97% or even more of actively publishing climate scientists agree that climate warming trends over the past century are extremely likely due to human activities. In addition, most of the leading scientific organizations worldwide have issued public statements endorsing this position. Observations throughout the world clearly show that climate change is occurring, and rigorous scientific research demonstrates that greenhouse gases emitted by human activities are the primary driver. Global climate change has already had observable effects on the environment. Glaciers have shrunk, ice on rivers and lakes are breaking up earlier, plant and animal ranges have shifted, and trees are flowering sooner. Effects that scientists had predicted in the past will result from global climate change are now occurring, like loss of sea ice, accelerated sea level rise, longer and intense heat waves, and variation of the weather in multiple regions. Some of us can relate with the stories of our parents or grandparents about the weather. They will either say winter used to be longer and colder, or spring used to be nicer back in the day. It would become warmer. Some regions may welcome warmer temperatures, but others may not. Some of them will become wetter or others drier. There will be less agricultural production, and that will lead to health and economical problems. Cost of agricultural production will be higher, and many people will lose their jobs and the opportunity to get food. There will be poverty and delinquency. That will lead to worldwide chaos. The first countries to be affected will be the ones who rely on agriculture as their main source of income. The ecosystems will change. Many species of animals and plants will disappear, affecting the rest of the living things and the world as we know it. As change in climate is a critical issue and poses the risk of significant social and economic disruptions around the globe, many nations will strive to hold accountable the countries that pollute the most, and that will lead to diplomatic crises along with migration problems to places suitable for living. Most of the inhabitants of the Earth will face health problems. The most common diseases will be respiratory and skin cancer due to prolonged exposure to UV rays in addition to malnutrition and dehydration. Mahatma Gandhi once said, "Aid provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not to every man's greed." The most developed countries are working together to reduce the impact of global warming. The methods of production and industrial activities should change so that they can reduce the emission of greenhouse gases. The industrial activities and transportation that our modern civilization depends upon have raised atmospheric carbon dioxide levels. The most polluting countries seem to be aware that they must reduce their emissions, but despite agreements such as the Kyoto Protocol, these carbon dioxide emissions continue to rise. Almost all the world's countries are responsible for global warming, although China, the United States, India, and Japan are the highest contaminators of the world. There has been several agreements and regulations created by first world countries to reduce global warming, but these initiatives are being applied without urgency. Well, I hope that you now have a better understanding of global warming because this is a big deal. Earth's climate is now changing faster than at any point in modern civilization, primarily as a result of human activities. The most developed countries are the ones that pollute the most, and the world is affected because of their practices. Recent emissions of greenhouse gases are the highest in history. Scientific researches and evidence prove that global warming is real. It causes most of the environmental problems we're facing worldwide, and ecological ways of living are being developed at a really slow pace. As I stand here, speaking to you today, there are researchers working on solutions for this problem. As the world faces unprecedented catastrophes, now is a crucial moment for all of us to assess and reaffirm commitments to reduce global warming.